Good Friday morning, everybody. I'm First Warn 5 Meteorologist Warren Sears, jumping on to give you some updates to the weekend forecast ahead. Now, as we are gearing up for a big swing in conditions out there on Sunday. So we did elevate Sunday. We originally had a first warn on there, and just for those of you that aren't familiar, first warn is kind of our base. Hey, heads up, there could be some impacts here. We elevate special days to a first warn weather day when we see the biggest impacts, when we see potential dangerous conditions, and when we see disruptions, and especially because it's a Sunday, and especially because I know that, in the middle part of March, you have a lot of events going on, a lot of things around town that you're trying to go to. We do expect some pretty large and hefty impacts out there on your Sunday, a culmination of reasons, not just, hey, we have thunderstorm chances, or hey, we just have this or this. We actually have three different factors that we're looking into on Sunday that are just going to make for a tough day out there. It is not a nice Sunday, but I am also going to highlight the best times for you to get outside and enjoy the weather, because we do have some nicer days ahead, but then a big switch up. Just a reminder, it is still winter technically for 7 more days, so we do have a big switch up in that weather pattern back to a winter feel for a little while. So quite a bit to talk about here. Let's get to it. I'll first start with the reasoning of the first warn weather day. So the reason that we're really giving that heads up for Sunday is because of a few things. The biggest thing right now, in my opinion, is the wind. We had gusty conditions yesterday in the 40s range. We're seeing signs on Sunday of a very strong cold front coming in. That's going to give you wind gusts to 50 to 55 miles per hour. So we are basically toying with the criteria for a severe thunderstorm. So we don't just see a couple minutes of gusts to 50, 55. We're seeing hours and hours of prolonged wind gusts up into this range. And if you remember here, even over the last year, we've had a few events where we've gotten recorded wind gusts up to 50, 55, 60 miles per hour. And we did see widespread issues here in the metro. We saw a lot of power outages, and we also saw some, limbs and things like that. We're not worried about structural issues, but definitely things blowing around your yard, lawn furniture and deck furniture, and then also the power thing. The power thing is one of the bigger reasons why we have this weather day in place, is because we do expect to have some spotty power issues on Sunday. On top of that, the massive swing in temperatures is incredible. We are going to see low 60s early in the morning as we have a warm air mass in place to start the day, but that strong cold front will bring you from the low 60s in the morning to 30s in the afternoon. Partnered with those strong wind gusts, we are going to see feels like temperatures significantly colder. So just the swing in temperatures alone on Sunday is going to be so dramatic. And then also the potential for some snow. There is an opportunity for some low accumulations out there just to add to the mix. And when you have 55 mile per hour wind gusts, even if you had light snow falling, it would cause visibility issues. So we're even seeing signs, some people are starting to say like this could be near blizzard-like visibilities out there on your Sunday. So all of that partnered together, we expect to have an impactful and just downright not fun day on Sunday, and we do think that this will impact your routine and life enough. That's why we elevated to that weather day. So just wanted to give you some background, some context on what we're starting to see out there, what we're growing confidence in as we get closer to that actual Sunday time frame. So before that, again, a couple of nice days, and then eventually things really start to get nasty. Sunday night, and Monday morning, we could have wind chills Monday morning when you're starting your new work and school week to 0. So it's going to really be bitter and feel like winter, and we don't want to put away our winter gear just yet. And if you did put your winter gear away already, this is your fault. This is we know better than that around here. So again, first warn weather day in place for Sunday. So that was elevated. I want to talk through some of the different criteria and parameters that we're looking out for. We'll first start with just an overall timeline. Hopefully this can help you map out your Sunday a little bit better. If you do for some reason, have something that you need to get to, we want to help you plan around that, or maybe adjust those plans that you have on Sunday. The extreme wind gusts will start, I think, some point in the middle part of the morning. That cold front's going to knock through, and you'll notice Southwest winds turn out of the northwest, and that is a sign the front is here, and your winds will pick up and your temperatures will fall very fast. So much colder already by the afternoon. Again, starting the day in the 60s, crashing to the 30s later in the day. As far as precipitation goes, we are seeing a pretty good confidence for some rain to start because, again, we're going to fall from the 60s in the morning. So it takes a while to get down to that freezing point throughout the day. There is a transition point in the afternoon into the evening that's our chance for some of that wet snow to mix in, and that's our chance to have some issues on area roadways. And so that is something, again, that we're going to be watching for later in the day on your Sunday. So it's not going to snow all day or whatever it may be, but this is a very dynamic day of weather here in the Midwest. I want to walk through my confidence levels as well. We are very confident that we have these strong winds. Strong winds are on the table, and so are the tanking temperatures. This front is going to swing through the region. The timing might be a little off, give or take a few hours as we get closer, but generally that mid to late morning time frame, we think the front starts to come in, so your temperatures fall fast after that. The snow confidence is the area, the kind of gray area that we're still sorting out. But we do see that opportunity for a rain-snow mix. How much of this wet snow can we get to transition over? Well, our computers and the new data coming in this morning still have some varying scenarios, and I truly think it's just because of a degree or two in temperature. So the progression of the front, how fast it comes through, how fast it can cool our air, how much moisture is available at that time, those are some things to watch for. But again, warm enough for rain to start, a little mix, and then maybe some hours of wet snow into the later part of the day. So this is the latest on the actual timing of the front. You can see here, even by 10 a.m., a lot of us are still under the influence of southwest winds. That would be your warmer air. However, you start to see northeast Kansas, northwest Missouri. That's the region that will experience the cold front first. So your temperatures will already start falling a little bit earlier. So keep that in mind as well. Kansas City Metro, again, at this time, we're starting to think the front comes in some point mid-morning to late morning, and then eventually the winds will take over the entire area probably by 1 p.m. So I bet by 1, even our southern communities down into Bates, Henry, Benton counties, and Anderson and Lynn on the Kansas side, that's when the front will completely clear everybody, and so we'll all be under the influence of these much colder temperatures. Look at these wind gusts. I mean, again, could have some isolated pockets up to 55 miles per hour with those wind gusts. That's strong, and for hours at a time, not just, again, like a severe thunderstorm where we could have a couple of minutes of these severe gusts. These are likely going to be prolonged, off and on 40s, 50 gusts kind of popping throughout the entirety of the day. As I mentioned, again, near severe thunderstorm. So that's why we want to take this very seriously. And again, when we've had numbers like this in the last year, we have seen some impacts to power, especially having some power issues. So let's walk through now the precipitation chances. I think, again, in the morning on Sunday and into midday, even though temperatures do start to fall, we will be warm enough for well above freezing for rain to begin. This specific computer here wants to bring the opportunity for the mix over at some point around 3 to 6 p.m. When that transition happens, again, if it happens a little earlier, that could give you a better chance for some minor snow. If it happens later, we might miss snow completely, but it is on the table. There is an opportunity into the afternoon and evening on Sunday to have some mix over to snow. But the ground should be pretty warm still, even though, again, air temperatures will be tanking. The ground should be pretty warm after many warm days here this week. So we're hoping, even if we get some of that snow to start falling, the ground is warm enough to melt a lot of it on contact. That's what we're thinking will happen at this time as well. And then Monday morning, everything completely dries out. So here's to visualize temperatures over the next few days. Today, we'll get into the 50s. Tomorrow is your warmest day. We'll be into the 60s in the afternoon. Some of you down to the south of I-70, you have a better chance of hitting at least 70 degrees on your Saturday. It will be a bit breezy out of the south, but definitely something that we can handle. And then watch what happens into your Sunday morning. So again, still really warm overnight, but at some point in the middle of that morning, here comes the front, and those temperatures start to fall. So we'll be very split here. Northwest Missouri, northeast Kansas, you'll be cold faster, and everyone else out ahead of the front, it'll take a little while. But look at this. This is the afternoon. We think 30s are possible. So I mean, you could have a 30-degree swing in those temperatures in a short time frame, just 12 hours, not even 12 hours, more like 6 to 10 hours, where we could see a swing in 30 degrees out there. So that's another reason too for that first warm weather day. Just massive changes out there, and then into your Monday morning, teens for actual air temperatures. Wind chills will be even colder than that. Let's show you a couple of the scenarios as far as the snow goes here. The most likely that I just showed you is that rain to wintry mix to maybe a burst or two of wet snow later in the day, but one of the computers is consistently a bit cooler, and this one wants to be a little mix early on, but have many more hours of snow. So this scenario is still a possibility. I want to be clear with that. Even though we are still riding on the other one a little bit heavier, I still think that this is a possibility where a couple degrees cooler gives us some more wet snow in the afternoon, and that would give you a better chance for some snowfall accumulations. It's less likely, but it is still on the table. Before we get to Sunday, I want to highlight today and tomorrow will be nice days. 56 degrees today. It's a quiet day. The wind is a lot lighter than yesterday. It'll be, I would say, 10 to 20 miles per hour, not gusting to 40. So, again, better today. You'll have no issues getting out and about. On your Saturday, soak that in. 68 degrees, forecast high. And it's well above normal. Our normal high is 54 degrees, so well above that for your Saturday specifically. Soak that in. No issues, no rain or anything like that. We have the KC Current home opener. We also have the Snake Saturday Parade, and it's also just Saturday, so a lot of things to look forward to. I know you have a lot of events that you're trying to get done. So highlighting 2 days here, today and tomorrow. Do your outside stuff Friday, Saturday. Do not plan outside stuff Sunday. It won't be nice. It's not a nice day. You're having vastly different conditions from the morning to the evening, strong cold front. So again, that's why we have that weather day in place on Sunday. We do want to make sure that you are keeping a close watch on this on Sunday. We'll update you, of course, as we get more data, especially as we focus on that afternoon, evening snow potential. That's the one thing that we still are a little less confident on at this time. When you're dealing with this big of a temperature swing, these are really tough precipitation forecasts to nail down. But we do know the winds and the tanking temps are on the table. Look at Monday morning, 14. I think our wind chills will be down to 0. 31 is a high on Monday. So now winter is here, but after that, near 80 Thursday, casually. So, wow, what a swing here. You've got teens. No 20s for lows. You've got teens in the forecast. No 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And almost 80 degrees on Thursday. So, quite the swing here. We have another weather update coming up here in just a bit, but I did just want to throw that out there and let you guys know the First Warn Weather team has upped Sunday to a First Warn Weather Day. Please stay with us for the latest updates, details, KCTV5, KCTV5.com, KCTV5 Plus, our free streaming app, and of course you can find updates on our stream here throughout the next hour or so. I'm going to send it to a quick break. Janae's back with some news headlines, and then I'll have another weather update for you here in just about 20 minutes. We'll see you then.
Welcome back into KCTV5 Plus. The time right now is 11:06. I'm Janae Hancock here with your local news headlines as well as international as well. We're going to touch on the very latest coming out of Iran this morning. I am reading some of the comments coming in via Facebook. Following the weather update from meteorologist Warren Sears, he will be back in about 15 minutes, but it doesn't look like everyone is happy with the possibility of snow on Sunday, and I am one of them. So you're not alone. It's been very up and down. So again, that weather update is coming your way in just a moment. But for now, as far as your local news headlines are concerned, Missouri politicians, they redrew the state's congressional map last year, and a judge says it can stay. The new map splits Kansas City 3 ways and likely flips Representative Emmanuel Cleaver's seat to red in November. A group called People Not Politicians, they fought back, gathering signatures to let you decide its fate at the ballot box this fall. The group's director says the real problem here is not the map, it's who it's designed to protect.
So you make a decision that's unpopular with one group of voters. You say, well, let me draw a district so I don't have to face accountability from those voters. That is centering politicians and their needs and desires instead of centering voters.
Now, Attorney General Catherine Hanaway, taking a look at your screen now, she responded on social media, calling it a full victory and saying the map is, quote, fair and constitutional and not done winning yet. The decision will remain in effect unless it is overturned on appeal. Now, moving along, the Big 12 is pulling the plug on its flashy glass basketball court and replacing it with good old hardwood. Players called the LED floor slippery and said it was giving them headaches, most of them. A Texas Tech player says he actually hurt his groin on it. The Big 12 commissioner made the call late last night after consulting with all 4 semifinal coaches. And after their win last night, Kansas forward Trey White, says that the switch is welcome, but the floor did make for quite a show.
Yeah, it's different for sure. There is a little bit more spring into it, but my shoes were slippery a little bit, but it's not as bad as people make it seem.
Have your family talked about it all? Have they seen the games out here earlier?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was definitely an adjustment for them. A couple of my people saying they've never seen nothing like this before, so it was definitely fun for them to see.
So as for what you can expect today, the Jayhawks take on Houston tonight at 8:30. Iowa State and Arizona tip off first at 6 o'clock. And the glass court isn't the only controversy surrounding the Big 12 tournament. An Arizona columnist is floating a big change, rotate host cities and leave KC, calling our town, quote, blah. So we asked visiting fans what they think of Kansas City as hosts. Here's what they had to say.
A great venue for how many years for all of us?
You keep coming back.
Oh, it's got to stay here.
Didn't expect it to be this cold, but I'm very impressed with the atmosphere so far.
So it's safe to say they like it here. Well, the tournament doesn't appear to be leaving town anytime soon. The Big 12 renewed Casey's contract through 2031. And so we are going from basketball to soccer. Casey Current fans, your wait is almost over. The Till is back tomorrow. The Current kick off their 2026 season at CPKC Stadium. And if you are planning to go to any of the games this year, KCTV5's Gabby Luma has everything you need to know.
Teal Town, it is almost time for kickoff. That season opener is tomorrow here at CPKC Stadium, where the Current will take the field at 3 o'clock against the Utah Royals. This is an awesome season they are walking into with 10 new players. 5 of them are rookies, 19 players are returning, and then of course they have new coach in Chris Armas. And we were speaking with a couple of executives this morning, including president of the team, Raven Jemison. She was telling us about how awesome it is to have been able to see that team really mesh together. And Ryan Dell, the general manager, also talking about how the team had a lot of time in the offseason in California to really bond and, again, mesh together, especially on the pitch. You know, when it's a little bit colder here in Kansas City, taking in those rays of sunshine during that offseason. And we are just so excited for, of course, the Current landing outside for everyone to enjoy that and that development just to continue through the summer with the streetcar coming, hopefully within the next month or so. The excitement, again, just building here, and you can feel it at CPKC Stadium. Everyone here is asking anyone to come early tomorrow if you are getting to the match, because parking will be a little bit different. Use that multimodal transportation. More information can be found on CPKC's Stadium website. It'll give you all the maps. Walk through that there. But we are ready for those KC baby chants. We are ready for you, KC Current.
Again, that was our KCTV5's Gabby Luma reporting. We will have more of her coverage throughout the day today, but she's been out there all morning long, and as you just heard, she's been speaking to so many different people. She's been talking about gear and everything you need to know as we look ahead to tomorrow's game, the home opener, as well as the rest of the season. And speaking of the home opener, again, that game is taking place at CPKC Stadium. The Current, they will be taking on the Utah Royals at 3 o'clock, and the Current, they are looking to rebound after an early exit in last year's postseason. So we will definitely bring you more on that, especially tomorrow morning. So if your kids go to school in Olathe, the superintendent has some answers for you this morning. We sat down one-on-one with Dr. Brent Yeager after he announced more school consolidations. They are coming, despite a nearly $400 million bond that just passed, I should say. He says declining enrollment is the driver here, and the district is down more than 2,000 students. So here's how he explained it.
We have to be good stewards of what's entrusted to us, and part of that is also making sure that we're not operating a system that is too large for the amount of kids that we serve now.
So Yeager says no schools will consolidate next year. The district plans to operate as normal. Parents who want to have a say in the process, they can reach out to their child's principal to join the task force that is currently being formed. Well, your kid's phone could soon be off limits at school all day. Kansas lawmakers sent a classroom cell phone ban to the governor. Backers say it boosts grades and mental health as well, but some parents say their district simply just can't afford it. KCTV5's Ali Espinoza has more.
Kids, the phone is the first thing they reach for in the morning and the last thing they put down at night. Now, Kansas lawmakers want to make sure that during the school day, it stays out of reach entirely.
I don't think that it makes any sense to add additional cost and red tape at the beginning and the end of the day.
Parents here aren't arguing against phone-free classrooms. Many of them actually support it. What they say they're pushing back on is being told how to do it.
What's a good policy in one place may not be the good policy in the adjoining school district, and because of that, our legislators don't know what's happening. I'm not sending my daughter to be taught by a legislator. I'm sending my daughter to be taught by teachers within the local community.
Here's the tension at the heart of this debate. Supporters say that the bell-to-bell ban would actually protect students from the mental health toll of constant screen time. But some parents tell us what may work in one school district may not work in the next, and that decision shouldn't be made in Topeka.
Blue Valley already knows that this can be a problem, and so they can come up with the solutions because it can't be a one-size-fits-all.
Supporters say Kansas has waited long enough, that other states are already acting, and kids can't afford for this state to keep dragging its feet. Kansas House Speaker Daniel Hawkins tells us in a statement, quote, "It's about helping students stay focused on instruction, their classmates, and the work in front of them." Now it's Governor Kelly's call, and she has 10 days. Reporting in Overland Park, Ali Espinoza, KCTV 5 News.
And before I continue on with our local news headlines, I am keeping a close eye on your comments coming in on Facebook as well as YouTube. But this one coming in on Facebook grabbed my attention. It's from Deborah. This is for meteorologist Warren Sears, since he just gave that weather update for Sunday, that first warned weather day. It has been upgraded too. And she says, can you please change the weather to like today? So the good news is the weather is going to be nice today if you're just now joining us, as well as tomorrow. So you definitely want to get out and about. But unfortunately, Sunday, you're going to want to stay inside. But speaking of tomorrow, I know a lot is happening this weekend, and that includes the Snake Parade, the Snake Saturday Parade. North Kansas City, they are gearing up for one of the biggest parties of the year. And while we're sure there will be plenty of green face paint as well as shamrocks, our Maya Engel shows us this parade marches for something much bigger than just St. Patrick's Day.
It is almost the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day, and that means these streets in North Kansas City are about to be flooded with tens of thousands of people for the annual Snake Parade.
It's just one of the best family-friendly events that you can think of in all of Kansas City.
It all started 42 years ago as a small event.
Started with a little jaunt from Roadway Inn across and down the street,
but has grown into something much bigger.
I think we peaked over 100,000 people.
Through rain and even snow.
No matter what happens, no matter what the weather's like, it's a festive atmosphere and people really love it.
But this year, weather shouldn't be an issue.
This year we've got sunny and 62 on the forecast, so it is going to be phenomenal.
So ditch that winter coat and pull out those kilts.
Kilts and Kicks is our theme this year.
For this community, the parade is about more than just the kilts and candy.
We've turned it into a charity-making machine with a whole lot of people behind the scenes.
Raising over $2 million for local charities over the past 42 years.
It's a great opportunity to not only have fun and bring the community together, but it also raises money for good causes.
Before you head out, a few things to remember.
Wear something green so people aren't pinching you.
And practice that Irish jig.
That'll follow my keister.
In North Kansas City, Maya Engel, KCTV5 News.
And the parade runs from 11:30 to 12:30. Sharon Chin and Bill Hurlbrink will be your hosts. And if you can't make it out, don't worry. We are airing it live on KSMO Channel 62 and streaming it right here on KCTV5 Plus. If you're not already joining us there, you're joining us on Facebook, maybe YouTube. You just need to download the app straight to your Roku Smart TV, as well as your Apple TV and Fire TV, anything where you can stream. And moving along with your local news headlines, I'm sure you all remember this, just the sound, the look of it as well. The scale of Tuesday's hailstorm is becoming much clearer today, and it is staggering. Roofing companies, they are pouring into Parkville, filling nearly 60 permit requests in 2 days. Filing, I should say. The city says most of its 3,000 homes have damage. Hailstones punched through solar panels and all the way down to roof decking. One roofer says that he has never seen anything like what he is currently seeing right now.
There's about 75,000 homes that were affected due to severe weather. And so with that, there's not enough roofers to be able to take care of all the damage that's in KC right now.
And here is a word of caution. City leaders say that scammers have been spotted in the area alongside legitimate roofing companies. So before you sign anything, you want to reach out to the contractor and make sure that your money is going exactly where you would like it to go. And then also another great tip is just to look at multiple options. You never want to sign right on the spot. Urgency should always be a red flag. And again, that is coming in from experts like the Better Business Bureau. Well, we do have some breaking news for you this morning, something that we have been following. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has again vowed the most intense day of strikes against Iran from the Pentagon this morning. He also said the U.S. believes that Iran's supreme leader is injured. While the administration touts success, the cost to U.S. service members have increased, with the number of service members killed now sits at 11. Natalie Brand has the very latest from the White House.
U.S. Central Command said Friday that 6 crew members aboard a refueling aircraft were killed when their plane crashed in western Iraq.
War is hell. War is chaos. And as we saw yesterday with the tragic crash of our KC-135 tanker, bad things can happen.
U.S. officials told CBS News they believed the incident was a mid-air collision, but were still investigating.
The incident occurred over friendly territory in western Iraq while the crew was on a combat mission, and again was not the result, as CENTCOM has said, was not the result of hostile or friendly fire.
As the conflict enters day 13, the defense secretary once again said today would be the most intense day of strikes as U.S. forces go after Iran's weapons and manufacturing capability.
We're shooting down and destroying what missiles they still have in stock, but more importantly, ensuring that they have no ability to make more.
Secretary Hegseth also said the U.S. believes Iran's new supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured.
Do you believe he's alive?
I think he probably is. I think he's damaged, but I think he's probably alive in some form, yeah.
President Trump told Fox News Iran would be hit hard over the next week. But as disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz rattle oil markets, the Trump administration announced it would allow countries the short-term purchase of Russian oil stranded at sea, arguing it will not provide significant financial benefit to the Russian government.
Moskau weiter erhöhen.
European allies are pushing back, Germany's chancellor calling the decision wrong, concerned it could prolong Russia's war on Ukraine. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Of course, that is a developing story that we will continue to follow as new updates come into the KCTV5 newsroom. Moving along, back here locally, a Wyandotte County detention officer, a second-degree murder charge, and a county email account that was never shut off, even after the officer was put on unpaid administrative leave. More than 400 emails obtained by KCTV5 Investigates reveals who the officer has been talking to and why it could have an impact on the ongoing court case. Here's KCTV5's investigative reporter, Samantha Boring.
Detention officer is charged with murder and sent home. What happens next? For Richard Fatherly, the answer surprised us. Not only was he never arrested, he still had access to his Wyandotte County email account. But to understand why that matters, you need to know how we got here. This is 50-year-old Charles Adair, a father, son, and brother. Last year on Independence Day, he was taken to the Wyandotte County Jail, but never got to leave. On July 4th, he was arrested on outstanding misdemeanor warrants for failing to appear on multiple traffic violations. The next day, July 5th, 2025, Adair had a wound on his leg and was taken to the Wyandotte County Jail's infirmary. When he was wheeled back to his cell, the Kansas Bureau of Investigation says Adair began yelling, refusing to listen, and physically resisted. The KBI went on to say that when attempting to remove his handcuffs, Adair kept resisting. The release says, quote, they gained control, removed the cuffs, and left the cell. Immediately after, Adair was found unresponsive. He was gone less than an hour later. We didn't get a clear picture of what happened until 2 months later, September 5th, 2025. The KBI shared Adair's death was being ruled a homicide. The coroner's report lists his cause of death as complications of mechanical asphyxia, when an object or physical force prevents someone from breathing. The report also includes a key detail that the KBI report did not. During the altercation, it says one officer kneeled on Adair's back, and he went unresponsive during the struggle. September 18, 2025. Wyandotte County Detention Officer Richard Fatherly is charged with unintentional but reckless second-degree murder. Fatherly has never spent a single night behind bars, which, while legal, is a reality Adair's family and the public have questioned. They've demanded Fatherly face the same consequences as anyone else charged with murder. No arrests, no mugshot, just unpaid leave. That raised a question. Does Fatherly still have any ties to the sheriff's office? We filed more than a dozen open records requests to find out. Here's what we received. More than 400 emails showing Richard Fatherly still has an active sheriff's office email account, and he's been using it.
There's really no reason that that should have been a possibility.
Steve Lieben is a UMKC law professor who spent 27 years on the Kansas bench, including 13 years as an appellate judge. The emails show three things. Fatherly was still treated in some ways as an active employee. He was still in contact with co-workers, and he was still talking to witnesses in his own murder case. On October 12, 2025, less than a month after being charged with murder and placed on unpaid leave, Fatherly received this email asking for overtime volunteers.
He replied within a minute saying, I'm in. Why was he on that email list? I don't really understand that.
KCTV5 Investigates confirmed his last day of work was September 17th, 2025. These emails show Fatherly was still on the sheriff's office-wide email list, receiving a notice for mandatory use of force training in November. He replied saying he was on unpaid leave. The training deputy responded, quote, stop checking your mail, with an emoji. Fatherly simply replied, no. Another email in December shows a jail employee discussing rosters. Fatherly replies, quote, sir, I'm on unpaid administrative leave. I have not sent a roster as I am not able to. The employee replies in part, quote, Son, that's for the future, but you already knew that.
The nature of the communications here is such that it seems to make it look that he's still in good standing with the sheriff's department.
Then there's the contact that concerns Lieben most. In November, Ryan Schuler, who is listed as a witness by the state, sent a group email to more than 15 jail employees, including Fatherly. It was about updating contact information for jail operations. Fatherly replied no, but didn't get a response. And then there's this. On the night of October 25th, Richard Fatherly emailed a YouTube link to Roger Bilyeu. Bilyeu is a deputy who is listed as a state witness in the case. The two exchanged casual emails with multiple responses from both Bilyeu and Fatherly regarding the YouTube link.
They start talking about inmates and physical force. That's not something you want the person listed number 3 on the complaint as a witness to be discussing with the defendant before trial.
All of this made possible because the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office never deactivated Fatherly's email. KCTV5 Investigates asked the Sheriff's Office if his email access was revoked. Captain Michael Croning replied, sharing in part, quote, "Email is restricted based on each circumstance. Given that this investigation has nothing to do with email access, his was not restricted." And while that part is true, Professor Lieben warns the email contact could now complicate the case at trial.
The way it's been handled here sends a message, whether intended or not, that it has not been treated as seriously as it might have been.
Yeah, I mean, someone lost their life.
I think in any case where someone has lost their life, the public expects the situation to be treated seriously.
Since first appearing for court in November, Fatherly has not entered a plea. He heads back to court on April 13th for a preliminary hearing. Both the Wyandotte County Sheriff and the District Attorney's Office declined our request for an interview for this story. For KCTV5 Investigates, I'm Samantha Boring.
Now, KCTV5 Investigates also reached out to Fatherly's attorney, who declined to comment for this story. As for the Adair family, their attorneys have not yet responded to our request for an interview. Of course, we will continue to update you as more information becomes available. But for now, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, meteorologist Warren Sears will be right back with another look at your forecast. If you happened to miss it earlier, a Sunday has been upgraded to a first warn weather day. Everything you need to know as you prepare to start your weekend. We'll be right back.
Hi there, Meteorologist Warren Sears, back for another weather update here. As a reminder, we did elevate Sunday to a first warned weather day. That is our higher tier message that we are expecting impacts out there and disruptions to your day on Sunday. And the reason being, well, there's a couple of different reasons. We have a culmination of things that are basically going to come together, and it will not be a nice day. There will be impacts to your routine, whatever you have planned out there on Sunday, especially if it's in the outdoor setting, there will be impacts out there. So we'll highlight some times, best times to get outside, because there are plenty of opportunities for you to get outside this weekend. And then I'll highlight when the front starts to come in, when the winds pick up, and even a little bit of a wintry mix to snow opportunity that we're watching closely for Sunday afternoon. I know we haven't recorded any snow in February or early March. We'll see about Sunday. We might be able to pick up some minor accumulations. I'll walk you through the newest information and show you what some of our computer guidance is wanting to do for Sunday. All of that coming together, though, for, again, not a nice day. Luke was saying all morning, Sunday stinks. Just not the best Sunday forecast. But, again, we have many opportunities for you to enjoy. So let's get to it. We'll walk you through and show you this is a wild swing in temperatures. Over the next 7 days, we have almost everything that you could even think about here. So, except for hurricanes. None of that. But let's get to your forecast today and tomorrow. Really nice. Get outside. Today's cool but comfortable. The wind also not being strong today has been a nice key. Yesterday was really windy. Today it's just a little breeze, but not bad. Get outside for 50s today and 60s tomorrow as you kickstart, or as you get in the first half of your weekend, I should say. It looks nice. So Saturday plans outdoors, green light. Sunday, red light. Don't do it. Don't plan outside stuff. It's really just, again, a culmination of reasons. So first warned weather day in place on Sunday. Those damaging winds are really one of the bigger things we're watching here. And gusts are going to be over 50 miles per hour for many hours out there Sunday afternoon. Also, the swing in temperatures, you'll wake up, if you're an early riser Sunday, you might think, what are they talking about, cold front? What do you mean? We'll be in the low 60s to start the day. Quickly, by lunch, already big changes, and into the afternoon, vastly different. We're going to go from the 60s to the low 30s. That's going to help set the stage for your wintry mix opportunity when the air cools off enough. When that happens, though, that's one reason why our confidence still not great on the precipitation type for Sunday afternoon. So 56 today, nice day. Some clouds, some high clouds. I'm trying to look out right now. Definitely some filtered sunshine though. It's a solid afternoon. Saturday, I think will be pretty similar. Some clouds, but 68 for your forecast there. It's your warmest day through the weekend and into early next week. Eventually there are some 70s back, but not until the middle to late part of next week. So 68 your warmest day for a little while. And then Sunday, we went 43 on the 7-day forecast and on the different graphics we have here. But generally, Sunday is actually going to swing, as I mentioned, from the low 60s in the morning to the 30s later in the afternoon and evening. So we put 43 on there as kind of your afternoon temperature, but it's not going to really be 43 for very long. So rapidly changing conditions there. And we want you to be prepared and want you to know what is coming your way. That is why, again, Sunday is a first warned weather day for the impacts to anything that you plan on doing. Inside plans look best on your Sunday. Let's give you a timeline here, what everything looks like throughout the course of Sunday. I think the winds are going to start picking up as early as 9 to 11 in the morning. They'll be out of the southwest to start, eventually turning out of the northwest as the front comes in. So at home, you'll be able to gauge when the front comes through. As soon as those winds shift, that is what we're expecting, and that's when we're expecting the front to start coming through. So gusts to 55, very much on the table for at least a few hours into the afternoon. Much colder conditions by the second half of the day, crashing to the 30s. A few spotty showers will be possible early in the day. Rain because we are above freezing, but at some point we get that wintry mix and mix over to some wet snow. There could be some spots that have slick roads. That is on the table here, and I'll show you what we're expecting as far as the radar, what radar could look like coming up in just a second. But the strong wind confidence and the tanking temperature confidence very high for both of those days. Or for both of those elements for Sunday, excuse me. So we do expect, and that is on the table. That will happen. We know that strong wind and the tanking temperatures are unfolding for Sunday. What our confidence is a little lower in is, again, that snow opportunity. Rain-snow mix could have some bursts of wet snow out there. And depends, I think, also where you live in our coverage area as to what you'll see. Forecast wind gusts throughout the day on Sunday specifically will be high. I think it'll be a touch breezy on Saturday, maybe gusts 20 to 25-ish in that range. But it's Sunday that the southwest wind in the morning turns northwest, and then by probably 1 or 2 p.m., all of our counties, even those of you down into the lakes region, all of our counties will start to experience that northwest wind, and the gusts in the 40 to 50, 55 mile per hour range look more likely in the afternoon and early evening. That's where we think those gusts could be at the strongest point later in the day. What does a 50 to 55 mile per hour wind gust do? Well, yesterday we had 40 gusts, so we're expecting even stronger winds. And again, for many hours, last time we saw numbers like this, we actually had spotty power outages. That's one of the bigger things to watch for. Limbs, trees, things like that are of concern. Now, I'm not worried about structural damage here, but generally gusts to 55 are strong, and especially when you have them persistently coming through. In order to be a severe thunderstorm, we need wind gusts of 58 miles per hour. So just to put that into perspective, basically severe thunderstorm level winds out there at times on Sunday afternoon. So kind of off and on gusts, how I see this going, off and on gusts between 40s and 50s, kind of just popcorn throughout the afternoon and evening. So that's in place, locked in place on your Sunday. The precipitation, though, let me walk you through what we're seeing. Well, Sunday morning and into midday, we're warm enough that I think this will be all rain. We're just well above the freezing point, but as the front comes in the afternoon and early evening, that will start to pull your temperatures down, and the profile of the atmosphere cools off a lot. When the front comes in, how quickly we can cool the freezing, a few things to watch for, as this computer wants to stay slightly warmer and give us the wintry mix chance in the heart of the afternoon, evening, and then some point in the early evening to mid-evening, that's when we could see a mix over to some wet snow. Now, with that being said, we do have a really warm ground in place at the time, so we're hoping, even if we do get a couple of hours of wet snow, we're hoping a lot of it is able to melt on contact just because the ground is so warm, and also your temperatures will be around freezing. So again, we're not talking teens out there Sunday evening, won't flash freeze or anything, so that could help us out. We might be able to get some snow falling, but how much can actually stick, or that's also another thing to watch for. But by Sunday night and Monday morning, this should be gone. With the one of our other longer range computers, though, that we watch and check out, I want to show you. So this computer I just showed, that is the rain, wintry mix, maybe some bursts of wet snow. We're leaning more on that specific computer, but one of the other ones has been a little more consistent with hours of wet snow in the afternoon and evening on Sunday, so this will be a quicker transition to some cooler temperatures. There's also some better moisture available in this storm versus the other one that I showed you. So it's a few different of our longer range computers take on what's going to happen on Sunday. And so two scenarios that we're still waffling around between, but we're putting a little more weight into the more likely brief snow mix, no impacts to roads scenario. But I don't want you to think that that you're completely in the clear here. We could have some measurable snow On Sunday afternoon, it looks less likely, though. So more likely rain-snow mix and little impacts. If we can get this other scenario, the second one I showed you, to pan out, that would give way to some more minor snowfall accumulations and potentially some issues on the roads. So it's not out of the question, but again, less likely. Forecast temperatures are going to be quite fun here over the next few days. Friday afternoon, 50s. Saturday afternoon, 60s, and even some low 70s sprinkling in near and south of Interstate 70. Beautiful day, a little breezy again, but not bad. And then look at Sunday morning. You get into Sunday morning, we're waking up to warm conditions in the 60s. By mid-morning, cold front comes in, start to tank. 50s already sprinkled in, 40s quickly back, and already by the afternoon, we'll likely be in the 30s. So I expect to have a cold, blustery, potentially wet Sunday afternoon, some rain-snow mix. But you see those temperatures still in the heart of the afternoon, early evening, around freezing. That's what makes this one a little bit more on the tricky side. So all of that coming together, giving us the first warned weather day, giving us the opportunity and likelihood of impacts and disruptions to your Sunday. That is why we elevated to a first warned weather day. Before that, Friday 56, lighter wind. Today, pretty quiet. Some filtered sunshine out there. Nice day. 68 Saturday. Snake Saturday Parade is tomorrow. A lot of us are going to be there. We are also airing it on KSMO. And so that is something to watch for if you don't want to get out. But if you are going to be there, really nice. 43 at 9, 50 at 11 when the parade kicks off, 60 by 1. And then the whole afternoon, if you're going to stick around in North KC, will be in the 60s. Lots of sunshine out there, and mix of clouds and a little breeze, but we can definitely handle that for some nicer temps. But in the morning, you'll definitely want a heavier jacket in the 40s, but we'll warm really quickly in through the morning and midday. So that is tomorrow. Also, the KC Current home opener is tomorrow against the Utah Royals. That is at 3 p.m. What a great day for a home opener, too. This time of the year, you never know. 68 degrees is the forecast. Kickoff temperature, again, southeast breeze 10 to 20, mix of sun and clouds. So if you're going to CPKC, I would have a jacket, but I would also have a short sleeve underneath. You might want to take that jacket and throw it down on the floor and then get some sun out there on your Saturday. So go Current. We're excited that all the spring sports are now underway. Royals are here soon, just a couple weeks. Royals home opener as well. All right, everyone, that is your latest weather update. Thanks for joining me here. I'm going to send it to a quick break. Janae and Destination Heartland will also be right back in just a few minutes.
Hidden gem worth visiting?
Well, I think a wonderful thing about Wilson is that it's only 2 miles off of I-70, but it's a whole world away from any place that you might want to, that you are living. It's like taking a step back in town. Many of the buildings are in the business district are built from the limestone from the area, which is over 100 years old. And then you will also see we actually have two payphones in town because we have a local telecommunications company who keeps those telephone the telephone payphones going. And in addition to coming into this historical town that has been here since starting probably in 1864, we are surrounded by the beautiful hills of the area. We have gorgeous local hiking. We are on a major bird migratory path. We have a beautiful lake, as you mentioned, that is one of the clearest in the state. On that lake, they have kayaking, they have paddle sailboats, they have paddle boats, they have pontoon boats, they have fishing. They have fishing contests in the whole area. We have hunting. So it's a great area to either come and study the historical nature of the town or just get out in the quiet of a small town. You can actually hear church bells ring. People wave to you when you walk across the street. It doesn't matter if they know you or not. So it's really a bygone era.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So let's dig into a little bit about what we talked about at the top of the show, which is Wilson is the Czech capital of Kansas. So let's talk about that, because this in itself is so much of the rich history that you can find in Wilson.
That is absolutely right. So officially, Governor Docking proclaimed it the Czech capital of Kansas in 1967. But the real reason behind that is because we had travelers coming from the Czech Republic. As you know, as we had immigrants coming into the United States, they came out on the railroad and they were working for the railroad. They were given free land. And so if one immigrant came, all of a sudden you had all these other immigrants coming, and it became a bohemian community as these people were coming on the train to come here. Now, a lot of these immigrants, some came through New York, some came through Chicago, some came through Pennsylvania, but they all came from a certain area and they settled in Wilson, Kansas.
That is neat. So then, given this rich history with the Czech connection, do you see some of that in the architecture and the landmarks in Wilson?
Well, I would say of course, we have the world's largest Czech egg, which we can talk about that in a little bit because I think that's really indicates the area. But I can remember we have interviews with some of the older members of the community who told us how those limestone logs were raised to make these buildings. Oh, wow. And it was done by a horse and one man. One of the buildings in particular, the Czech Opera House, was a takeoff on the Opera House that they were bringing from the Czech Republic, and they wanted to recreate what they had there, the operas, the shows, something they called sokals, which are it's a gymnasium, and they would do competitions with the other sokals in the area. So yes, you could see that was all part of You have to use what is there to make your buildings, and the stone is definitely what was there to make the buildings. The people who came out weren't necessarily stone masons or any of that, but they quickly learned the agriculture. They quickly learned how to make the buildings. We're not a wooded area. So what you make buildings with is going to be the stone. And there are quarries all over that area that they pulled the stone in from.
So then, can you tour some of these buildings that were made of limestone there in town?
Oh my goodness, yes. You can tour, well, you tour them. I mean, so in 1899, the Midland Railroad Hotel, which is a stone building, was made. It was in response to the railroad coming through. It was a boarding house. It was a hotel. It was a place where the salesman would come and show their samples. And it also is an incredible example of architecture from that time period. It did burn once, but they rebuilt it. It's been renovated now. It's a working hotel with 2 restaurants, 28 rooms. You can go in that. You can sit in the parlor. You can enjoy yourself. Across the railroad tracks, we have the Czech Opera House, which did burn down at one point in time, but is amazing because you can walk into that building and you can see the way the inside of how that stone all fits together. And then you walk down to 2 buildings, and there's what used to be the actually in the early 1900s, they had a second floor that was completely open, and they showcased tractors. And then they had a restaurant on the first floor. And you can walk in that building, you can see exactly the way those structures were made. You can, the entire town is amazing because you can see the way the stone was built. We have kiosks in front of all the historical buildings that actually say what the building was, what it became. We have a bank building there from the early 1900s. We have a gorgeous Catholic church, a gorgeous Presbyterian church, a gorgeous Methodist church that were all built out of stone, which are all still functioning. And people can go and they can either go to church there or they can just visit, whatever they'd like to do. But yes, you definitely can see how those massive buildings were built.
Oh, wow. And I bet that architecture is just beautiful, too. That is so interesting. On top of what we've already talked about, which we've already talked about so much there in Wilson, let's talk about the big attractions in town. And one of them we talked about is the clearest lake in Kansas. Tell me about this.
Well, the Lake Wilson is a beautiful lake. It has swimming beaches. It has a marina. There are many fishing competitions on there. You see water skiing on there. You see kayaks. You see sailboats. It's a beautiful lake and very well used. People like to come there. Are parks all the way around it. So you can either tent camp, you can pull up your RV, whatever the case may be. And then what's perfect is then you can go back into town. You can, if you don't want to cook over the fire, you can cook, you can go to the hotel and have dinner. You can go see the largest world's check egg in downtown Wilson. We have a snack shack there that has lots of hamburgers and stuff that you can go and visit. I mean, it's kind of the best of both worlds. But I will tell you that that epic bike trail is also amazing out there. That is really, that whole area is just an amazing place to take your kids and enjoy the outdoors and still be able to come into town and live that life of a rural community.
That's so neat. I was actually talking to our meteorologist Warren Sears about Wilson, and he knew all about it. And the first thing he told me about was the lake. He said it is so clear that you can go out and you see right to the bottom. And then the second thing he mentioned was the epic trails. So well known out there for sure. And it sounds like it's a great place for a lot of family fun out there.
It is a lot of family fun, and not very far away, the other direction on I-70 is the Cheyenne Bottoms, where we have migratory birds actually going over Lake Wilson, going over Wilson. You see in the spring and the fall huge flocks of migratory birds, of herons, of pelicans, of seagulls. It is truly amazing. And I will tell you the other thing, if you are an astronomer and you like to take your kids out in the country and look at the stars, because we don't have a lot of the white light, it's a great place to learn about all the constellations and actually see any type of constellation you want to see, any solar eclipses. Beautiful, beautiful place for that.
Oh, I bet, because you are away from the bright city lights, so you can actually see it. So that is nice.
That's exactly right. And can I mention another thing about the town? Because this at one point in time was below the ocean, we have a tremendous amount of fossils. And I have to say for kids, I mean, I know as a kid, I used to comb those hills to find different fossils to take home. And you can even find shark's teeth. And also in that area, because we had a lot of Native Americans, you can find arrowheads. So there is a lot of things to investigate while you're there.
Yeah, it sounds like it for sure. Let's talk about, on top of all the things that we already talked about as far as attractions, what are some of the most iconic sites that people should see there in Wilson? Kind of put on their must-see list.
Okay, well, number one, they must see. This was kind of hard to tie this down. They must see the world's largest egg, but along with the world's largest egg, there is a museum that was dedicated to Betty Kepka. And Betty Kepka is the one who taught all of the school children about the motifs of the Czech egg, which is different from the Ukrainian Pysanky. Two different types of motifs, but her family was from the Czech Republic, and she became an art teacher in Wilson and taught that skill to a lot of the Wilson kids, which I think is really amazing. And there is a museum that's dedicated to her that I think is incredible to see after you see that egg, so that you kind of understand what that is. Another thing that I think is, so because this is such an old town, there is a round structure that used to be a water tower, and this was in the early 1900s, and then became a jail on the bottom. And you can still see into the jail, which I think is really fun. I think a lot of people enjoy that. And I would be neglect if I didn't mention the Midland Railroad Hotel, because that is a fully functioning stone building with a restaurant. And we have a 1907 barn that sits next to it that we use for meetings. And the fascinating thing about that is the barn used to be in the parking lot behind where it is now, because Wilson used to have a racetrack, and that used to be a stud barn for the harness horses. And then when that was no longer going, a farmer moved it out in the country. And then 4 years ago, it was moved back in, and now it is a restaurant, bar, meetings. We have festivals that are out in the lawn. It's an unbelievable facility to believe, number one, that it was built in 1907, and number two, that it went all the way out in the country and came all the way back in one piece.
Oh, wow.
Which I think, and we do have a video of that, I think that is just amazing. So I do think that is a fun thing to see. I think also there is, because we are a Czech community, a couple of years ago, we brought a Czech artist from the Czech Republic over to spend a month in Wilson. A limestone table that is outside the hotel, but he also painted a mural using the motif, the village motifs from his Czech Republic home on a barn as you come into town. I think that's just an incredible thing to see, because it's the same type of images that you see on a lot of the Czech ware that comes to this country.
That's so neat. And you know what is so neat about this is it seems like there's such an appreciation for art there because of, you know, the Czech egg and the murals and everything. We still have so much to talk about in Wilson, but what we want to do right now is just take a quick break, and then we will be back with more on Wilson and Melinda. So stay tuned to Destination Heartland.